Hi there, I'm Anna at BSAC, and I'm here talking with Erica Combopiano, who's going to tell us more about her work. So, Erica, I'll have you start by telling us what do you do?
Hey, Anna. My name is Erica, and I'm a technical sourcer recruiter for a top software company.
So, that's great. Can you tell us a little bit more about what your job entails?
Yeah. I worked for both Microsoft and Google previously, and I recruit for software engineers. And so, what I do kind of all day is go out and look on different sites like LinkedIn, looking at resumes, people who applied, and finding people who would be a good fit for the jobs I'm hiring for.
Mhm.
And mostly looking at kind of what technical skills they have that would align with the positions.
That's great. Can you talk a little bit about your educational and career background and kind of how you came into this work?
Yeah. So I kind of fell into it. I feel like most recruiters kind of fall into recruiting. It's not always a path that people, start out thinking I'm going to be a recruiter. I got a degree in women and gender studies and thought that I was going to go into social work. And
Mhm.
so that's what I always wanted to do. And started out in social work. I did AmeriCorps for a little bit and really enjoyed that. And then I worked with people with disabilities, helping them find jobs. And through that, I realized that I really liked kind of the job pairing
Mhm.
process, helping people find careers that they liked. But I wanted to get out of kind of the social work track.
Mhm.
And so I took a contract with Microsoft, so contract work to hire, and started out in university recruiting, helping students right out of school get software engineering jobs. And from there, got a full time job and just fell in love with it and stayed with it.
That's great. What are some of your favorite things about your work?
Yeah, I think the most fun thing about my work is when you get someone a job and you're
Mhm.
helping someone kind of find a career path or a company that they're really excited about, especially if they're nervous and they aren't quite sure if they're going to get the job. I think having them
Mhm.
get that offer and actually accept is the most exciting part about my job. And I think, the other thing I really like is I get to spend pretty much all day on the phone with different people, so it's never
Mhm.
boring. I'm talking to different people all the time, getting to hear what they wanna do, helping them kind of understand the different jobs that we have and walk them through that process.
Great. What are some of the things that you find the most challenging about it?
Yeah, I think the most challenging part, especially when you work for one of these top software companies, is
Mhm.
just the volume that we're working at. So I could be working with 500 to 1,000 candidates a week. And you may not be actively engaged with all of those candidates, but
Mhm.
you may be reaching out to some, getting emails back from others that they want to hop on the phone and learn more. So you kind of have at any one point hundreds of candidates somewhere in the process. So
Mhm.
I think staying organized is the biggest challenge. Kind of knowing where everyone is, making sure you're giving a personalized experience to everyone. That's probably the most challenging part of the job is not letting anyone fall through the cracks.
Mhm. Um, you talked a little bit about this already, but what does a kind of typical day look like for you?
Yeah, so like I mentioned, a typical day is, starting out. I kind of like to start when I feel freshest in the morning. So,
Mhm.
doing some of the sorting through resumes or going on LinkedIn or different job boards and looking for people that fit kind of the technical requirements of the job I'm hiring for.
Mhm.
Um, so I usually do that kind of early in the morning, and then it's reaching out, it's writing a lot of emails, kind of crafting different pitches, maybe that I'm posting on LinkedIn to get people interested in the job. And then there's a lot of follow up. So, responding back to candidates who are interested. I do a lot of informational chats. So, hopping on the phone for 30 minutes, talking to candidates about the role, making sure that they're actually a fit for what the
Mhm.
hiring manager wants. And then there's a lot of administration work too. So making sure that we have the right compliance forms. If someone needs a work authorization, we make sure that we have all of that paperwork aligned. People are getting scheduled for interviews. So it's a little bit of
Mhm.
everything um, every day.
That's great. What do you think would make someone a good fit for this kind of work?
I think a couple things. I think people with, a liberal arts type background, if you do decide to go and get a degree, I think that can be good. I think people that are detail oriented, can be organized,
Mm,
who like talking to people and kind of enjoy that active listening. It's a lot of listening to people talking,
mhm,
and kind of paying attention to what motivates them and what type of job they're looking for. So I think having really good communication and like written skills is super important in this job.
mm, that's great. If there's a student, middle or high school student who's kind of thinking that they might be interested in this sort of work, is there anything you'd recommend that they do right now to continue to explore it, like classes or projects or part-time jobs or volunteer work, that might kind of set them up for thinking more about this kind of work?
Yeah, I think what really helped me, I mean, even though it might not seem directly related, was just getting involved with volunteer work, kind of
Mhm,
putting myself in situations. And and the volunteer work doesn't have to seem totally related. I volunteered for Paws, I volunteered with Habitat for Humanity,
mhm,
just opportunities to kind of interact with other people, get used to sort of putting yourself in new situations. Um, I think that's really helpful. It doesn't have to be direct recruiting, just
mhm,
things where you're getting more comfortable maybe doing presentations and talking to people.
mm. That's great. What sort of education or training do you think someone should be thinking about down the road if they want to succeed in this kind of work?
The cool thing about recruiting is people come
Mhm,
from all different backgrounds. So we even have software engineers who've decided that they actually like recruiting a lot
mhm,
more and they have a computer science degree and decided to switch into recruiting.
mm,
Like I said, I have a women's studies, gender studies
mhm,
background. We have people with science degrees, with communication, psychology. So I don't think it's as much about the degree or kind of
mhm,
that sort of work you do. I think do what you're passionate about. I really think having that piece of enjoying kind of interacting with people all day
mhm,
long is the most important thing if you want this job. And then being open to contract work. A lot of recruiting is seasonal. A lot of recruiting is a lot of companies want you to start out kind of in a contract type role. So don't be afraid of that
mhm.
if you're just starting out.
Mm, that's great. Anything else you would want to share with students?
I think the only other thing I would share is that and I think would surprise people is you don't have to be an extrovert to be a
Mm,
recruiter.
mhm,
So I think a lot of people, and I talked about wanting to listen to people and liking
mhm,
to talk to people, but I'm probably more of an introvert and I
mm,
really like it. And part of that is that a lot of my conversations are over email, they're over the phone. So my job is kind of busy with that. And
mm,
then in my personal time, I'm more of an introvert.
mm.
So you don't have to be super extroverted to do really well in recruiting.
That's great. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks, Anna.